Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm reviewing every single movie that's ever been made. I'm going through this list that's on Wikipedia of every movie in alphabetical order and reviewing all of them, and this is episode number 12. Today I'm reviewing the 1 Second Film. The 1 Second Film is an unreleased collaborative art project from the early 2000s. This film is fascinating. The story of how it's made, of how it's like being made and how it's never going to come out. I had a lot of fun researching this. It was an insane rabbit hole to go down. This movie's dumb as hell. It's such a weird story, and the best part is everyone seems to have forgotten this happened. Like, if you look it up now, everything is from at least 5 to 10 years ago. There's like no record of this. No one seems to have cared, even though when it happened, it was one of the biggest things on the internet. Like dozens and dozens of huge celebrity names have been attached to this thing. And I really thought there'd be some kind of thing on YouTube, like a history of it or like a video documentary about it. Because it's such a weird story, but it's like it never happened. So this is going to be the only video about this thing that's been made in the past 7 years. And I'm barely going to be able to scratch the surface of this insane shit. Someone should really do a proper like history or documentary of this thing. But for now, I'll just sort of run through it, the very basic story of it. It's so crazy. So originally, the film was only going to be 1 second long, hence the title. And the 1 second of film was going to be a animation. So there was 12 frames in this animation to make 1 second, and each frame was like a huge 5-foot by 9-foot painting, and all of them were done on one night at this huge party, collaboratively by like hundreds of people. It's a woman having an orgasm. That's what the film is. And I was looking on the archive of this film's website, and they have some fun facts about each frame. It looks like they had a lot of fun on that night making these giant paintings. Like this one, for example, was painted using a 12-year-old as the brush. Like they dipped his hair in the paint and then used him as a paintbrush. This painting was set on fire. This painting kept getting vandalized. This painting was being picketed by some women who didn't like that it was of a woman coming. And this thing was held on International Women's Day as well, because it's about women or whatever. And all the profits of this film were originally going to go to some women's charity, but we'll get to that later. So I like this idea. I think what they made is kind of cool. And I don't know if they ever released this animation part, but what I can do is sort of put these frames in Photoshop and sort of like string them together and we can kind of watch it. So this is what the animation would have looked like. So yeah, that was neat. Didn't look amazing, but that's collaborative art. It looks like they had fun and they made something weird and unique, so good for them. Except that's not where the story ends. That's just where the story starts. And what happens next is so weird and stupid and hard for me to understand. So for the next like 10 or so years, the movie sort of is in development hell because they weren't done. What they wanted to do next was fund the movie, like crowdfund it over the internet, which was something that had never really been done before at that time. So it was a really novel concept. And their pitch was like, if you donate $1, you get your name added to the credits as a producer. And this thing sort of went viral on the internet, and this is like in the early 2000s. And so, yeah, dozens and dozens of celebrities all gave money to this thing, like hundreds and thousands of people did. They had this fancy website set up where you would get a profile if you were a producer, and you could like put stuff, I guess. I really wish this website was still up, but unfortunately it's just been archived, and so we can't explore all the pages, which is a real shame. But it looks like there was like a community around this film. So they needed this funding to make the hour-long credits that were going to run after the 1 second of animation. And I guess the credits is everyone, who gave money, who helped produce the film. But like, What did they need all that money for? I don't get it. To make a documentary about the films that you're watching? I'm really not sure what the documentary bit would have been. It was never released, so all we have to go off is like their existing social media that hasn't been deleted. Like we've got their YouTube page here with a bunch of boring and weird videos that no one has ever watched, despite how huge this project was. We got their Facebook page. Looking at this page, the film is still on a back burner for a few years. That's also what they said in 2016, so I wouldn't get excited for this film. I don't think it's ever going to come out. So I have no idea what the documentary would have been about, because it seems like the people who gave money to this thing were funding a documentary about the film they're currently watching, which doesn't make any sense. Like, what would the subject matter be? And you can read the website of this thing when they were trying to get people to give them money, and they're saying like it's a global collaborative art project. So they had huge plans for this thing. It was going to include like everyone's contributions somehow. But I don't think they ever made clear like what exactly the film would be. It's so confusing to me. I've spent like hours reading about this thing and trying to like go between their archived website pages and their old social media that's all been abandoned. And it's like, what the fuck is even going on? How did they get so much money and all these celebrities and huge names to like endorse it? Like YouTube and Google, which were two separate companies at that time, they both like hosted them and like met with the people who made this thing. And it's like, what the fuck? This never would have happened like nowadays. Like they wouldn't have been able to raise like more than a couple bucks. But it's like, this was so new back then, I guess everyone just went fucking apeshit over it. And there's like a bunch of extra things that I haven't even mentioned, like bizarre offshoots of this weird project. So one thing that happened was they were gonna go to Oprah Winfrey and ask Oprah Winfrey to give them $1 and be a producer for this thing. But instead of just like emailing her or whatever, they decided to go on tour. So what they did was, using money that people donated, they bought a school bus and converted it into some weird not school bus. And then they went on a huge road trip touring America to get to Oprah Winfrey. And they documented it on this website, roadtooprah.com. And like, why? What? Huh? Like, who's giving money to this? Who wants to watch this? Like, what is it? Like, what the fuck is it? I can't even imagine what this thing would have been if they finished the documentary. Like, I know I'm repeating myself, but like, what the fuck is it? You can go so deep. There's so much of this film like remaining on the internet in places. Like you can search for it on YouTube and see people talking about it and advertising it. There's this old channel I found that had like 5 subscribers. I'm one of them. And this is like, people would send in videos or upload videos and they were going to be included somehow, and it's like weird shit like this. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, they even, this one film wasn't enough, so they set up a foundation for more films like this. So after the 1 second film, they were going to do the 2 second film, and this was going to be like twice the number of paintings, and it was going to be of the planes hitting the Twin Towers, because 9/11 just happened and they wanted to raise money for 9/11. You didn't even finish the first one and they're planning out all this shit on this crazy website. Like, what? So despite never being released, I guess this film did provide some entertainment value to me, because I like weird, obscure, old internet stuff, like old YouTube channels and shit with no views that people have forgotten about. So I did enjoy watching this film and its associated videos. So I guess it's not completely bad. Although I disagree with the principle, because they said it was a non-profit film that was raising money for a charity and they were going to give all the profits to a women's charity, but obviously it never made any money because all the money that people gave them, they spent on stupid bullshit instead of just finishing the film. So that's not good. You shouldn't do that. So even though I can't truthfully say that I've watched this film because it hasn't been released and it never will be, I am going to give the 1 second film a 1-star review, because it's not good, whatever it is. I'm sure if it ever did come out, it would be bad. So that's the end of this video. Thanks for sitting through it all the way to the end. Next time, I'm going to be reviewing 2 films in one because they're both very short and they're next to each other in the alphabet, so I can get both of them out of the way in a special double episode. So tune in next time to watch my review of 1, 2, 3, Go and 1 something something. I don't have the name of it in front of me, but it's a bunch of numbers, and that's a short film by George Lucas when he was a film student, so it should be interesting. And I'll catch you next time. Thanks very much for watching. Goodbye, everyone.